Hi everybody, welcome to Paper Wishes Thursday vlog. I'm Lene Gehrig and today I'm excited to bring you projects using Cosmic Shimmer Luster Polish and also stencils from Creative Expressions. So I have some fun things to show you. I set them like this so that you could actually see the color because I don't think this was any fun. But we're going to move them like this so I can move them out of the way. Okay, we're going to start with the first project. Ooh, a little blurry there, but we got it. So this is a really adorable card that Debbie made, and she used Penny Black's Special Friends stamp set with this, and also a great Penny Black cutting die, which she then applied the luster polish to. I know that she went ahead and applied the luster polish to the paper and then let it dry thoroughly and then die cut that so that it got all around the edges. And then the background here, she used a stencil, and this one is called Sprigs. And as you can see, I just think this would be a really versatile one. And she also used, let's see, I'm gonna look at the name of this one. This is Apple Fizz and Tantalizing Teal. So both of those colors, okay. Show you our next project. This is another one that Debbie made. And for this one, she used several different colors of the luster polish, and then she used the, this one is called the Mica Masks. So this one is Aryan Piping. I had to get that straight. So this one has a great swirl. If you're in the Portland area, this looks a little bit like the Portland Trailblazers logo, I noticed. Fortunately, the card doesn't. She also used 3 different colors and actually putting some tape down, like some stencil tape, and then turning the stencil this way and then just applying 3 separate colors to get that look, which is really beautiful. And she also used the Penny Black cutting die for this beautiful circle, which she also applied to the paper first, the luster polish, let that dry, and then she went ahead and die cut that. Look, even the mat that she used on the background has luster polish on it. It's really beautiful. Oh, and then this one I love. So on this particular card, we didn't use the luster polish, but I thought how cute to show you this. She used brown ink and this mini stencil called Crazy, which we interpreted it as giraffe spots, but it could be stone pavers, you know, stained glass, a lot of different things. So I'm going to show you how to use this. I'm going to grab some paper here. And silly me, I forgot to bring my stencil tape. Oh no, here's some right here. Paulette left some stencil tape back here with all of our stuff. Yay, Paulette. Okay, so we're going to put see, it's just tiny, but how cute. All right, so we're going to put this down and just a little bit of stencil tape on the edges. We'll put it right here. And what's great about this one is once you put it down, you can always move it around and then align the pattern to expand that pattern. All right, well, which color shall I use? How about this one is Raspberry Sorbet. Okay, so this is our lovely, well-used sponge, but all of the Cosmic Shimmers come with this really great sponge on top, which I think is really great. So the luster polish has this sponge, and inside the luster polish, a lot of them are sort of Cosmic Shimmers can be sort of a paste, and this is just really like it's more like pudding. It has a pudding texture to it. And what we're going to do with this is, when we apply this, we want to really utilize the edge of the jar, okay? So I'm going to just really get some on there, and then you're scraping it off almost as you apply it, okay? So my sponge is covered. It's not thick. I'm going to even get off the stuff around the edge, but it's very well covered. All right, so now just going to, some people like to blot. Okay, so that's definitely a thing. And with this particular one, because it's so tiny, blotting might be your best bet. Okay, I'll show you another application technique when I show you the next project. Okay. So let me show you how much you don't want to put on there. Okay, do you see that? That's way too much. And then it's just going to get under the little bits of stencil. Whoops. So we don't want that. Boy, if I knew I was going to make a mess, I should have brought out my craft mat. Okay. So the pouncing method, definitely one way to go here. All right. Make sure you keep that lid handy. I wouldn't leave it exposed much longer than that because it can get sort of dry and tacky. Now here's the thing. I would take this and immediately wrap this in a damp paper towel if I'm still working with it, and then wash it out immediately because I don't want this sponge to get dry and hard and crusty because then it's just pretty much useless to me. So rinse this out as soon as you can. Keep it moist while you're using it, okay? So I have some baby wipes here. That would even work fine just to sort of set it on there like that, okay? All right, so I'm going to put this inside the jar for now, but be aware I'm going to wash that soon. All right, so here we go. Take that off. And you just get this really adorable pattern on there. Okay, so I'm going to wash my stencil right away too. All right, so now we're going to clean this up. We're just going to get really messy today, which I love. All right, so for our next project, I am going to put my craft mat out. All right, so this next one I did a little bit of, let me pull this out a little bit, use my remote. Here we go. So this next project, I did some mixed media, okay? So this is just a canvas that I got at the Dollar Tree, cost $1. And what I did is I did some layering. So I used this one, which is a lemon. And I also used the raspberry and the orange, which is called Tango Tease. So I used, these are my 3 colors. See if I can show you these. All right, there go my tops. All right, so I'm going to show you kind of how to do this technique and how to get these, build up the layers. And I even colored some of the flowers, which were originally white. So I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So let's get started on this project. Let's get messy. All right, I should also show you, in case you're not a mixed media, you know, hang it on the wall kind of person, I also did the same technique on a card. So I'm going to be doing this technique for both of them on a piece of paper, so you can see how easy it is to do on either a canvas or a card. I should also note that I used from 49 and Market. These are their timeless laser cut board, which I love. And this one has clocks and nuts and bolts and gears, and I love it. And somebody pointed out to me that they thought this was sort of a masculine look, and that it was interesting that I made a very sort of feminine with the butterflies and the flowers project with it. And I've really never thought of clocks and gears as being a masculine thing. I mean, we all use them every single day. They're in everything that we use, from our cars to our watches. So to me, that's just something that reads masculine or feminine. So as you can see here, I've added all of these pieces to these projects. So let's play with this. Let's see how this goes. I've got my paper. Somewhere. Here we go. Okay, so here, got my cardstock. got my stencil. This one is called Bend It. All right, so I'm going to put this right here. Well, actually, before I do that, I'm going to put my base coat down. So my yellow, my lemon rather. All right, so for this particular one, we don't need to worry about how thick it is because we're not working with the stencil. We're just applying it directly to the paper. And we want to keep it moving. We don't want to make this paper wet. We don't want it to buckle or bubble. With the canvas, you're going to need to have a little bit more going on because it's a rougher surface. And it's got these little flakes of mica in it, which I think is just gorgeous. It gives it this really beautiful pearly finish. Okay. All right. Another one I have to wash. All right, so then I'm going to take a little bit of the raspberry, and I can do this while the lemon is still wet. That's just fine. And I just did sort of a streak across here and then another streak across the bottom. Okay. All right, so ordinarily I would give this just a few minutes to dry. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead, so pretend this is completely dry. And I'm going to go ahead and put down my stencil, use some tape to keep it secure. All right. Okay, now when I'm using this orange color, when you're using a stencil, I don't want to cover the entire surface with orange. I want to give it sort of a fading effect. So I'm not going to start, and also I want to stay away from these straight lines, so I don't want to get anything there, okay? So I'm just going to start here and then move out in sort of a feathered effect. So I'm staying away from the straight edge because I don't want to overlap here and get that straight edge. Just a nice feathered effect, and then I'm going to go down here and do the same thing. You just start in the middle and you're just brushing it on, staying away from the straight edges, like that. All right, so let's take this off, see what we have. Now if I was using the canvas instead of paper, I would take that same, there we go. You see how it has just a faded edge around it, okay? So it's going in different areas. I'm going to line that back up again. And I'm going to do a little bit more. I wouldn't normally recommend trying to do this again, but I'm going to do it in a different area. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right, so something else to put in the wash pile. Okay, so let me show you this canvas again. So as you can see, for the card, I went horizontally, and for the canvas, I went vertically. Also on the canvas, I took this and I just went around the edge like that, just to give that a little depth of color so it wasn't yellow all the way around the edge. Okay, so that part of the technique is done. And so for the card, when this was completely dry, I would just cut it down to the size that I needed. So we're going to put this away. And now I'm going to show you how I did the flower part. Okay, so I've got these cute little flowers. These are by 49 and Market. There's little paper flowers, which are adorable. So to color these, I like to use the white ones because then I can either mist them or I can use, you know, any product to color these. Watercolors work great, but what's great about this luster polish is just going to go ahead and rub some on. I like how it picks up the little folds and like a vein of a flower would have, so that gives it some dimension. And what's great about these, that if I was using watercolors or a mist, it would get the flower really wet. And because it's paper, the wetter it gets, the flatter it's going to get. So we really just don't have that problem when we're using the luster polish. There we go. And so I'm making sure to at least touch every petal. And I'm not making, I'm not covering it. I'm just making sure it has a little bit of color. Okay, did I get them all? I think I did. All right, then go back to the orange. And I'm gonna put on, make sure I get the center part of those little center things. And I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm only gonna put the orange on the top part. There we go. All right, so now that I've got that done, I'm just gonna take a baby wipe. And the reason I'm using that as opposed to a damp paper towel is because a baby wipe has just the right amount of moisture. It's not going to get this super wet. So, and we don't want the paper flower to get super wet because then it would just go flat on us. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take this, and the moisture on the baby wipe is just gonna get that to blend. It gets it just wet enough that I can sort of move that color around. There we go. Without getting it so damp that the paper loses its shape. Okay. And then when I'm done, I just want to put it back into shape so that when that paint dries, it's just going to dry like that and still have some dimension with that flower. Frankly, even more dimension than it did when it came out of the package. There we go. All right, so, oh, so messy today, I love it. Okay, so then on these chipboard pieces, what I did was, same thing, I just took them out of the package, popped them out, they pop out beautifully, and just used some of the luster polish around the edges. You want to make sure that you get in between there on the outside edges really good. So now I'm going to show you how I did my butterfly. The butterfly is Dazzle. I used the largest for this Dazzle butterfly. Oops. Let's zoom out, Lene. There we go. Still getting the hang of that. All right, so I'll take, this is the one that I used for the card. Peel this off, and sometimes all your little innie pieces don't come out, so I just put my hand on them like that, my fingers, and they just pull right off. There we go. So now I'm going to take a piece of acetate. Doesn't have to be heat resistant acetate because we're not going to heat it. Save that for your other projects with embossing. So this is just regular old acetate. There we go. And notice I'm not putting the swirl part on, just the butterfly itself. And then I'm just going to cut around this, and as I do that, sometimes I just sort of lift up the Dazzle sticker a little bit. And what's great about using acetate, you don't have to have perfect cutting. If you leave a little bit around the outside edge, no one's going to see that. Okay, so the trickiest part is when you get to the antenna. I just peel it right off the acetate so it's sticking up, so you can see that. There we go. Okay, let's get rid of that piece. And then when I put this on the card and on the canvas, I used some clear foam tape squares. so that it lifted the wings and gave it some dimension, but you couldn't see the foam tape. Okay, there we go. Okay, so you can see here, oh, got some Dazzle stuck on me. You can see here I just put a little bit of foam tape under there, and it just lifted the wings off a little bit. And then you can also just kind of bend them a little bit like that so that they keep the shape when you put the clear foam tape under there, or the clear foam squares, I should say. Okay, so thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed my very messy project. If you are joining me today on YouTube, make sure that you go ahead and click on the link below, and it'll take you to our money savers for both the Cosmic Shimmer luster polish and the Creative Expression stencils. We have a great deal on those. And you can also then click on to paperwishes.com to see more goodies. So make sure you check those out. And check out the money savers. They're a great deal. That way you have lots to play with. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you back next week.